thing in Zoom.
Yes.
Hi, and we are live for our conversation for change today with Marina Markovic. Is that right, Marina?
Markovic.
Margaret, but yes, thank you for the introduction.
Yes. Right, Markovic and Anja Bly, my wonderful partner.
Hello, hello, and welcome to this first part of the masterclass.
Okay, Anja, we have a bit of a...
And welcome to this first part of the masterclass. You can hear that.
Okay, Anja.
All right, so we're having a bit of a delay. You can hear that. All right, so we're having a bit of a delay. Let me just quickly check that. You can hear that. All right, so we're having a bit of a delay. Just quickly check that. You can hear that. All right, so we're having a bit of a delay. Margaret, can you mute me on StreamYard just for a second?
Okay.
All right, so we're having a bit of a Margaret, can you mute me on StreamYard just for a second?
Okay.
All right, so we're having a bit of Margaret, can you mute me on StreamYard just for a second?
Okay.
We can make a song out of it.
Yeah, for sure. Those who are viewing right now, please bear with us as we sort out these technical difficulties.
Make a song out of it.
Yeah, for sure. Those who are viewing right now, please bear with us as we sort out these technical difficulties.
Okay, I'm just going to be very frank here, but Margaret, are you perhaps having open Facebook on any of your
Yes.
tabs? Okay, let's close that one up, and then I think we'll be able to have a conversation without this delay and echo.
I am sorry. It was me.
No worries, but it's good that we figured it out. Three ladies.
Thank you.
Good. Great.
Here we go.
That's when we have a techie in the room. And today we have two amazing techies in the room who are also lawyers. So thank you guys for bearing with us while we sorted out that challenge created by the non-techie in the room. But yeah, welcome to this conversation. We have some of you in with us in Zoom, and we're also broadcasting live, which is why we have some of this back and forth going. Yeah, I'm excited about this conversation. Welcome, Anja and Marina, to today's show. Founders of Unlawcked, a blockchain legal consulting firm, both of you, lawyers and consultants in the field of blockchain and financial tech. And really excited to have this conversation and put this issue in spotlight today. I want to start with Marina, because Marina, you have quite a bit of expertise in this area, and you've been advising startups in the fintech space for a number of years, and you co-founded Unlawcked with Anja in Slovenia. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your work, and how you got involved in this field of blockchain.
Thank you so much, Margaret. I'm so happy to be here. I've been following your work for a really long time, of course, because mainly because of Anja, but it's a pleasure to be here today. I think it's also a very good time to discuss blockchain because it's just all over the news because of the situation on the market. But I would say that blockchain and all the innovation that is happening in the space is much more than just a price of a coin. So that's also why I was so excited about this topic when I first heard about it, and then actually understood that there is something very unique and innovative in this technology. What really interested me was there's a technical way to send value from one point to the other without having intermediaries in between. And that was just, oh, wow, that's revolutionary. That's something that can change the social system that we have, can change the legal system, or at least affect it in a way, or help make it better. So that was really the moment, that was my aha moment. But before that, yes.
When was that, Marina?
Sorry, when was that?
Yeah.
That was in 2017, 2016, 2017. I was working with startups. I was a co-founder of a crowd investing platform. So we did a lot of scouting, due diligence, raising money for startups. And this is when I heard from one of my business partners that he is working on this blockchain startups and innovation. And then I joined one of the European blockchain accelerators, where I really got this amazing opportunity to speak to best projects in the area. We, with the team, we analyzed more than 700 applications that year in 2017, all connected to blockchain. And it's just amazing to see how everything changed from 2017 till now. But at the same time, how some things stayed the same. So, for example, everybody's talking about non-fungible tokens, NFTs at the moment, but there were a lot of ideas already then. And there was a startup that did something in this space in 2017. Unfortunately, they did not continue with the work, but the first non-fungible tokens started in 2017. And now there's a revival, or even a bigger interest in that. So this is how it all started, and I think it was a really it is a unique technology that also I think sparked interest in lawyers because of this smart contracts, how we call the programs that I think most of the lawyers were very triggered by this name, and trying to understand how law and technology can actually work together.
I hear you. And how did you and Anja meet, and tell us about how Unlawcked got started?
We actually met when we were going to a conference. I think it was in Vienna. And it was just incredible because we live in such a small city that we haven't met before. So we went to the same university. We were working in the same industry. There's not many women in the industry, even less in 2017. And it was incredible. We haven't met before, but it was a really good, thing, of course. And yeah, we started, like researching, trying to understand more, trying to see what we could do together. And there was a collaboration started immediately. And then it was just amazing to have Anja in all this time when we were going to different conferences, trying to learn as much as possible, trying also to meet new people. But it's just everybody says when they enter this industry, the time moves so fast. Like you need to learn so much in a really short amount of time because everything moves so fast. And it's really good to have a partner, somebody that you can talk to and say, oh, this really crazy, interesting thing happened. Maybe it's just interesting to you and not to the other, people that are not that nerdy. But if you have a partner that you can talk to about it, and then trying to research more and trying to understand, oh, what is this? How can this, change the existing, legal structure or jurisdiction or other ideas? That's really, really valuable.
And have you all been able to there are lots of use cases in this field of blockchain. What is the type of consulting work that you all get involved in, Anja?
Yeah, there's been a lot of, especially in 2017 when the hype was real. Everybody wanted to introduce the blockchain as, this is the technology that is going to solve all the problems that we have. And of course, that was a bit of an abuse of the word blockchain. I would say it was definitely just a buzz. But it does have the underlying value for a lot of different industries, from fintech, where it kind of emerged, to medicine, food and agriculture. There's insurance, for example, and lots of different use cases. And this is pretty much why we have created the working groups and the think tank here, in Slovenia, because we really wanted to investigate further on how, for example, this is going to have the implications on the laws, whether the laws also have to change, or just how the regulators are going to be following up with this progression. Having the applications in all these fields, that you're opening all different laws, and you kind of have to spread the news about it, or at least disseminate the knowledge among the different stakeholders as well. So yeah, there's been, with the ICO era, a lot of different projects that were looking into different areas, from real estate, just like I mentioned, medicine and so on. So it was almost like a need to find the right lawyers as well. You were really looking for, okay, yeah, so this project is working in the medicine area, so we need a lawyer that actually knows medicine, medical laws, the tokenization, basically, and possibly even the fintech regulation to some extent. So yeah, it was really an interdisciplinary dialogue. And for that reason, we kind of created these working groups for the regulatory, for tax, and then there was for smart cities from the start, for the electricity industry, etc. And this is a never-ending process. We're just opening up new discussions and new working groups whenever there's a need for it.
Maybe I would just add something.
You talk about how this.
Marina,
sure,
go
ahead,
for it.
Marina.
Yeah, thank you. I remember people asking, so how is blockchain regulated? Is it even regulated? Is there a law that regulates blockchain? And it's just incredible how blockchain can be used in so many use cases that you can have a law that regulates blockchain. You can just regulate different industries and how blockchain interacts with them. So you, for example, right now there is a new proposed regulation on crypto assets. It's just focusing on crypto assets, not, for example, blockchain used in any other industry as, I don't know, insurance or supply chain industry. So I think that was quite a big misinterpretation of what maybe blockchain is and how it does affect the law.
And how is blockchain regulated in the EU right now? Are there laws? I'm getting some messages, guys, that we are muted in Zoom. Are we? For those who are with us in Zoom?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right.
Tech difficulties. Sorry to those who are in there with us in Zoom, but you're going to get a deep dive very shortly. So it's going to be all good. But so what's the state of regulation? I know we're going to get into this much deeper in the masterclass later today. But at a high level, what's the state of regulation in the EU, where you all are right now in this space?
So the EU is very fragmented when it comes to blockchain, or I would say crypto assets. There are some member states that regulated crypto assets and raising money through ICOs, as we call them, or token issuance very early, like Malta or some other states. But then others, also bigger states, joined, like Germany and France. And of course, Switzerland is not a member of the European Union, but it is a very important jurisdiction when it comes to blockchain, and especially crypto assets. So the situation right now is that there are some member states that have any kind of regulation in this space, but there are also member states that don't have new laws, new regulations. And of course, this September, I think it was in September 2021, the European Commission issued this proposed regulation on crypto assets that would actually regulate the issuance and all the service providers in the EU that use crypto assets all over EU. So it would not be fragmented anymore as it is, because I think that that's very important for every company that is working within the EU, but also for other companies that might be, I don't know, based in US, but they want to work and want to be present in the European market. So that's, I think, something very positive. But at the same time, it's something that we need to be very careful how we regulate, because it's, again, a very innovative field. It's changing all the time. And I think that everybody agrees that the goal here is to support innovation. That something that started 12 years ago, when the first, when we had the chance to read the Bitcoin white paper, it just changed in so many different ways. There's so many use cases, possibilities today, that we do all understand that innovation really is the driving force here.
Right. And, for those of us on the outside, we've been hearing about blockchain and Bitcoin and crypto assets. And we just saw Elon Musk invest, what, over 1 billion or something into this field. What is the future of that you all, either of you can answer this. Where is this going? Where is this heading? Why would Elon Musk invest that amount in this field?
Well, one thing is that people just want to diversify their portfolio. And as soon as there's an asset on the market, a commodity that actually has certain value, and seems to be a good investment, then all the companies are probably going to be investing or making reserves in that currency or that commodity as well. You don't want to hold all the eggs in your same basket. You actually want to spread them around in different baskets so that they are kind of secured and safe. And same goes for all the rest of the portfolios and investments. I do believe that this was just one of these types of investments, and that we're going to be seeing more of them in the future. And it wasn't really the first one. I mean, before Elon Musk, there was the project Libra. We're going to be talking about it as well. But yeah. Libra was pretty much introduced by Facebook, and it was an idea to have a consortium of all these traditional players like Visa, PayPal, Spotify, whatnot, and all of them were having the same idea of creating a global currency that would be based on blockchain. So you have different systems or different values. People see different opportunities in them, but one is certain, and that is that it might actually be one of the investment instruments that you use to diversify your portfolios. But Marina, you can probably add even more on top of that.
Yeah, I think that when we think about the future, it's really uncertain. There's, again, so many new things happening, I would say daily or monthly. For example, this word that is really, but it's kind of a buzzword right now, a DeFi, decentralized finance, is something that it just really, like the interest really increased in 2020, last year. And it's also something that many people, don't really understand. It's also really hard to maybe see it from a legal point of view. Just yesterday, I was talking to a colleague from Europe, and he was saying there's a lot of interest from different companies to maybe try to use DeFi. But at the same time, there's zero legal clarity on the taxation, at least in their member state. So it's something that I think many people are observing and very interested in. But then at the same time, when we don't have legal clarity, it's just like many people are not going to take the risk and play with it or invest with it. So I think that it's been an industry that has been quite risky, especially when we think about crypto assets. But there's an incredible response from regulators. I think most of them are really open for dialogue with different organizations, especially the ones that are representing the industry. And I think that's a very positive step. So without this dialogue, neither of those two groups can really understand the other one or prosper in the future. So I think this is number one importance in this industry.
Yeah, and wasn't there, in terms of the history, I know Anja, and you may be getting deep into that in the masterclass, but wasn't there, as I recall it, some scandal a few years ago where people invested and lost a lot of money?
No.
crypto, and I'm just
I would have actually say that that's every year, every month, every day, basically, there is a scam. And it just
okay.
depends on the amount of money that is being stolen from, a digital wallet or whatever the scam actually looked like. But yeah, these are risky instruments, not only because of the volatility on the market, not only because the price is constantly going up and down and up and down. It's also that there is not such a high level of digital and financial literacy on the market. Not as much as we would like it to be present on the market, because there's a lot of steps that one need to take when investing, for example, in crypto or when creating these types of projects. And to actually add to what Marina was talking before, why the regulators are having such a struggle with regulating these technologies, because it is so decentralized and the infrastructure is not really giving you the access points, at least not as visible as possible. And it's kind of hard to control it. So whenever you want to, make a step back and say, hey, let's take it easy, let's not go with the development so fast, there's no one that you can actually control. It's very hard to enforce whatever rules you're creating when you are having such a decentralized network, and especially when you are having anonymity in place. You don't even know who the actors on the other side are. And it's becoming very, very hard for people to track. It's becoming very hard to actually find out who, for example, the criminal on the other side is. And because people are investing and there's no entity, a legal entity on the other side, it's very easy for someone to just grab the money and run and not really provide you with whatever the promise was. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of these types of scams, at least when, the hype is going up and when everybody is just thinking, oh, okay, this is another instrument or another type of an investment that I can make, and, the profits are going to be very easy to make. Especially then, people are not really being that careful, and they're just providing the money, basically throwing it out of the window, not taking all the steps that they would need to when it comes to the security and checking the credibility of the project, whether there's a team, whether there is an incorporation, whether there is security, whether, I have accepted terms and conditions, and perhaps I can actually sue someone if something is going to go wrong. People don't really take extra steps to verify whether their investment is going to be in safe hands. So yeah, I mean, there's been plenty of these types of scams. I don't know, the DAO perhaps was one of the most visible ones. There was a bug in a code that was exploited, and people were at the time asking whether that was actually a feature of the code or was it a bug. So was it a predictable event, or was it something that we could not predict at all? But in the event of the DAO hack, people lost 50 million. I mean, easily. The project itself, I think, gathered 150 million, but the bug was heavily exploited. So yeah,
it's so crazy to me. I mean, this is a space that is underregulated, and companies are going into it
I think we lost Margaret.
because of the opportunity that they have. People investing like Elon Musk because of the opportunities to not have to, I guess, pay tax on these kinds of investments and all of that. I mean, this is it almost feels like listening to you all like it's a Wild Wild West situation. How do you all, as blockchain advisors, so you're advising a company that wants to put out an initial coin offering, right? Do you all take the initiative to guide these companies to really put their stuff in order from an accountability and a transparency perspective, even though there's no regulation in place? I mean, can you as advisors help to foster more transparency and stuff in the companies you all are helping?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I would say that because it's, I mean, as I said, it really changed how the whole industry looks like, how the process of raising money looks like. It's not like it was in 2017 or 18. And I wouldn't even say that there are many, or even that they are initial coin offerings as we know them for, I don't know, 5 years ago, 4 years ago. There is, of course, a lot of uncertainty, but as I was listening to the interview you had last week with Carla Reyes, like most of the use cases, of course, are regulated. We know how to work with, for example, financial instruments. If we think that a token or a crypto asset is a financial instrument, and we know what type of regulation there is. It's really exciting is that we have a completely new regulation about crypto assets. So it's a new asset class that was invented just because of this technology. And after all of those years being used, we have a new regulation. It's not active right now. It's in the process of discussion, and maybe it will not be accepted as as it is proposed right now. But we know that this is going to become a reality in a few years. So much more legal clarity. But on the other hand, also the industry changed, and the types of how projects are raising funds are completely different, especially when we compare, for example, initial coin offerings that happened 4 years ago and right now, how the whole DeFi space works. It's just so different, and it's also something that we're trying to, like, it's a message that we're trying to convey to the regulators and other lawyers working in this space, that we need to understand what's happening today and maybe trying to imagine what will happen, next week or next month or next year, because of course regulation is going to be there for a few years, and we need to write it in a way that is not going to hinder innovation. And the only way to do that is to understand very, very well what's happening today, and maybe also trying to predict the future. We know it's really, really hard, but we can't write something based on what happened 4 years ago, especially not in crypto. Again, like 1 year in crypto feels like 3 years. So that's something that I think needs consideration, time, and of course education.
Right.
And I mean, your question was really cool. Just to kind of share my experience with some of the clients, because it's not really that they don't want to be compliant with the laws. They do. Usually, the clients that have a business idea, they do want to be compliant with the laws, and they want to kind of work within that framework. What they also look for is the optimization, and to have as little conversation with their lawyers as possible, so that it's not giving them a headache when they have to go through a tough language, tough legal language, especially. Because every time you showcase them a new contract or a new agreement that they would kind of need to sign, they also need to be part of that conversation, and they also need to go through all these clauses and understand them. So it's kind of back and forth game with them, not because there would be so many laws or because there would be lack of them, but really just because there's so many agreements, different types of agreements, or different types of entities, or different types of processes that one would need to consider before even, for example, creating a token. And then nothing really prevents them from just, sending different money or tokens from one Bitcoin address or whatever cryptocurrency address to another one, because we don't really have the enforcement mechanism in place that would really show that transparently and then report it to the authority simultaneously or automatically. We don't have that yet. There are, however, different prevention mechanisms. So what we really need to prevent is the money laundering, or at least make sure that people know at a certain point in time how to explain where this money came through. Because that is the security that we want to establish on the market. Like all of us together, it's in our interest to really make sure that the society kind of transacts and creates the relationships that kind of have the legal basis or are legitimate. We don't really want to foster the criminal activity, and especially the project that we choose to work with are having this idea in the back of their mind that we really need to work together hand in hand, because there's so many scams out there already that are shedding a bad light onto the crypto ecosystem as a whole, that we need to tackle that as well. in order for, spread the good news, good rumors about what the value of the blockchain is on the market.
Yeah, this sounds like such an exciting field listening to you all and the intersections with crime and finance and investments and all of that. How would, what, for those lawyers and professionals who really want to develop this kind of law and technology practice that you all have, what would you say, what guidance could you give them? What are the first steps they need to take to get involved in this field? Things change so quickly. Where should they start?
I think there's many different websites, articles that are helping you understand this world a little bit better. We have come so far from the beginnings of it, so there's a lot of people that are actually this is their career to educate people and to try to keep you up to date. It is at the same time such a again innovative area that, for example, one of the best ways to inform yourself is through newsletters. There are really great people that are spending a lot of time working on really cool newsletters that we are reading, I think, weekly mostly. And this is how you stay up to date. There are also companies specialized in sending information and trying to get a sense of what's happening. There are also organizations that are working on the research, and it really depends on what area are you interested in. So again, it's a very vast area. So it really is. It's great if you could focus on one of it. But I think that in general, it's what I also see very present is there's a lot of news, especially regarding law, that is coming from US. There's a lot of things happening there, and I think that also the regulator there was very active from the beginning, and that's mainly what we can find. What I really want to maybe read about or even in the future write about is more about the EU laws and what's happening in EU. Of course, it's not that, I would say, investment intensive as it is in the US market, but I think that we still have some interesting projects. And of course, also other projects want to be present in this market. And I think that more, of course, legal clarity, we are on a good way for that. But at the same time, also being more informed about what's happening in this market.
Yeah, I do want to just bring up Sarah's question because we're going to be closing up shortly to go into the masterclass. And Anja, I'll have a little question for you just before we go in. But Sarah's asking about the types of regulation that exists in this field, and would the regulation be geared toward preventing criminal activity and allowing civil recovery as well? From the drafts that you all have been looking at, either of you could take the question, I guess.
Yeah, there has been already a change in the anti-money laundering directive, and we are there's going to be some other activities in this section in the next month. But the one, again, that is very important and very timely at this moment is the crypto assets regulation on, because it's really regulating the issuance, the market, and all the service providers that are using crypto assets. When it comes to, I mean, there are a few objectives of this regulation, and of course, the first one is to have legal clarity, but also to have consumer protection for everyone that is using those services. And at the same time, it is very important for this regulation to actually achieve a certain, I would say, monetary policy stability. Because the regulator actually saw a threat from different projects, or it could become a threat from projects that could become global, especially some stable coins. And that's also, as it's written in the proposed regulation, it's one of the objectives of this regulation. So we're going to see what is going to be the final text.
Right. Interesting. And so, Anja, what can people who are joining us right after this for the masterclass expect?
All right. Well, first off, we're going to be going through a bit of a historical overview, seeing what was existing prior to blockchain and where blockchain actually came out of. What are the features of the blockchain? Because we cannot overlook all the technical features or just the characteristics.
We have to go through that.
We have to.
You know,
I'm so sorry, guys, but we'll have to go.
No, we have to. Yeah.
It really helps us understand better what the limitations of smart contracts are, and really what the use cases could be, especially for legal professionals. And then we're going to be making a distinction between the regulatory and the regulating of blockchain. So on one side, it might actually be that the blockchain also introduces the idea of being some sort of a self-regulatory regime. And we could be using smart contracts for that as well. So we're going to be touching upon that innovation. And then we're going to be concluding with what Marina was just describing, and that is the regulatory frameworks that already exist around the world. We won't be going into the specifications of all of them because there's way too many countries on the world. But if there's going to be interest, we're happy to discuss that in another session anytime.
Cool. Exciting. I'm looking forward to it. For those who have not registered yet, the link is at the bottom of the screen, I think.
Mm-hmm. So, Margaret, before we go, we just have two more questions from the audience in Zoom. And one is
Zoom.
Yeah. So speaking about monetary policies objectives, the CBDCs have an important role in this scenario. Marina, maybe we can actually take on that because we were talking with the Bank of Slovenia about the CBDCs. Yeah, I do believe there is an intersection.
Can you define CBDCs?
Right. So central bank digital currencies. Right. And there is the initiative from different central banks. So, for example, the European Central Bank is talking about having a digital euro. The Central Bank of Japan, for example, was talking about that. Central Bank of China, Central Bank of the US. So everybody is now thinking about how do we create a digital component or a digital currency for our existing dollar or euro or yuan or whatever we have. And of course, a lot of times people are asking whether these central banks are also going to be looking into the blockchain technology. Now, the EU Central Bank figured out that there is an underlying value, but they don't want to make use of the public blockchain. They are not really looking into that direction, but the central banks of different countries within European Union might actually go that way. And Marina, we were actually speaking at the roundtable with the Bank of Slovenia. Maybe you can add on that too.
Yeah, we can. I mean, I can just say what's the situation in Europe. We had a report from the European Central Bank on the possibility of issuing a digital euro that would actually, in a way, represent the same way how I mean the euro is used, but it would be digital. So we would not have physical money. And there's the decision is not actually made yet. So they are now in the phase of researching. And I think that in June or July, we should have an answer from the European Central Bank if they are actually going to introduce the digital euro. There are a few scenarios and ways how they could do that. This is also written in the report. But of course, there's not a decision taken yet about this. And of course, yes, if DLT is going to be used in the whole process of designing this system, it's still not clear yet. But what I found really interesting is that also in this report, projects like Libra or Diem were mentioned. And they were saying that this is something that is of like a very big importance to European Union, that we need to preserve, the stability of our monetary policy and of the euro. That's why also this could be a reason why we could adopt the digital euro.
And one important aspect that I remember from the last conversation that was at Stanford conference was that each of these continents actually has a different intention behind it, or a different objective when they're pursuing the idea of digital currency. So, for example, in Europe, we are highly vigilant when it comes to the privacy, and we want to preserve privacy for all means. While, for example, in China, the CBDC might actually be used to kind of leverage on all the data that they have already collected and connected and processes. So the processing of all that data together with having the digital yuan, for example, might contribute to actually improve or advance with the social credit scores that they are also implementing in their society. While, for example, in Europe, we are very much rejecting that idea, or at least are not really fond of it. And in the US, there is a completely different objective for pursuing the idea of digital dollars. So those are all things that we might also be taking into account while reading the reports and then talking to the representatives.
You said there was another question in Zoom?
Right. In the past years, the KYC and AML European legal framework has extended as to include also the blockchain technology platforms. However, do you think that DeFi projects from Europe are obliged to implement the KYC and AML policies, or are exempted from these obligations?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm not sure how to answer that. It really depends on the project and actually how the project is designed. What is their relationship, or at least decision, towards risk taking and towards being compliant. What we are focusing right now is really in trying to at least understand, educate, and talk about this crypto assets regulation, which is also kind of, defining how DeFi will look like in the next few years. And what we have seen till now is that as it's written right now, it may hinder the innovation, especially when it comes to DeFi. So that's something that I think it's just really, really early to regulate DeFi, because it's been such a new phenomenon. And I think that we all agree with all those, ideas or goals of the European Commission, that we need to have legal clarity, that we need to have consumer protection. But at the same time, just because we don't know how DeFi is going to evolve, it's almost impossible to regulate it in this moment. But again, I'm really, really interested to see what the final draft is going to look like.
Wow. Okay.
I hope this answers to some extent, and if not, we're going to be looking for more answers during the masterclass and opening a discussion at the end of it.
Yeah. So I would love to thank you and Marina for having this conversation openly, for everyone to join in and ask questions and understand more about this field. And now we will go into our Zoom with those of us who are going into the masterclass. We'll do a little bit of mindfulness, set our intention for the masterclass, and have some fun, learn more about this. So thanks so much, and to the viewers out there, and to both of you for the conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Marina. See you on the other side.
See you on the inside.